This is 6 Minute English from bbclearningenglish.com.
Hello and welcome to 6 Minute English. I'm Kate Collin and today we're talking about home swapping.
Hi Kate. Yes, our topic today is about the growing trend of exchanging your house or apartment with someone in a different country for a limited period. So instead of paying for an expensive hotel to go on holiday, you simply swap your house with someone in a place you want to visit, and you can get a low-cost holiday anywhere in the world.
What do you think, Jackie? Would you be willing to swap your house with a stranger rather than stay in a hotel?
Yes, I think it would be really interesting because you would probably get more of a feel for the local way of life than if you're staying in a hotel, which can be a bit impersonal, I think.
But before we go any further, here's my question for this week. According to a recent survey, which is the most popular destination for UK home swaps? Is it A, Australia, B, the UK, or C, the USA?
Well, I've noticed that a lot of people here like going to Australia, and lots of Australians seem to like coming here, so my guess would be Australia.
Good answer. We'll check it at the end of the programme. So how does home swapping work exactly? Well, you just think of a country you'd like to go to, register with one of the many companies which deal in home swapping, who'll list your house on their website, and hopefully you'll find another family or individual who wants to swap their house for yours. Now we're going to listen to someone who's tried it. She said she's a tremendous fan of home swapping, which means she likes it. Why is she a fan?
Well, I'm a tremendous fan of home swapping for all kinds of reasons, not least because it's free, but also it's a most marvellous opportunity to sort of become somebody else because you inhabit somebody else's life when you swap homes with them.
She says she's a fan of home swapping because it's free and it's a great opportunity to live someone else's life. I suppose she means it's a unique chance to see how other people live around the world, something you wouldn't experience so much if you stayed in a hotel.
Well, now she goes on to talk about the cost. She mentions home swapping being part of the mainstream.
If something is in the mainstream, it means that it's accepted and known by most people.
So let's listen to the next extract. What makes home swapping a cheap holiday?
It's become part of the mainstream. Usually they include cars as well. So when you think about it, you're not paying for your accommodation or your vehicle. It really makes it a cheap holiday. Basically, all you've got to pay for is the airfares.
She said that many home swaps include a car. This means that you can get your accommodation and vehicle for free. All you pay for is your travel and airfare.
But now let's have a look at some of the words for the different types of homes you could end up swapping with. A flat is the equivalent of an apartment. Or you could end up with a penthouse. Now this is a luxurious apartment at the top of a tall building. A cottage is a small self-contained house, which is usually in the countryside. A townhouse is a house in a town or city, usually a comfortable, expensive one in a fashionable area. A houseboat is a special boat which people use as their home and is often kept in one place on a river or canal. And a holiday home or second home is where people don't live full-time but often visit at the weekends and on holidays. So let's listen to the next extract. Which of these types of accommodation does she mention?
There's a wide range of options in unexpected locations, from a houseboat in Kerala to an apartment in Fairbanks, Alaska, and a friend of mine recently spent Christmas in an apartment on Bondi Beach.
She mentioned a houseboat in Kerala, India, and an apartment in Alaska, and a friend of hers spending Christmas on Bondi Beach in Australia.
So now we're going to hear from some members of a family from London who regularly house swap. What does the first speaker like about it?
I quite like living in other people's houses. You're not living in a hotel, so you don't have to live out of a suitcase. You can sort of unpack and live like you would at home, but in somebody else's house.
She said she likes being able to unpack and doesn't have to live out of a suitcase. If you live out of a suitcase, you don't unpack your things, you have to keep them in your bag. So she said she likes this because she can put all her clothes and things in a cupboard and feel at home. What does her dad think?
And I think the other thing I quite like is that because you live in someone's house, you can kind of pretend that you're not a tourist and they're actually nearly a local. So you can feel a bit, smug about that.
He said that because you're living in someone else's house, you can feel like a local and not a tourist. That makes him feel smug, which means pleased with himself because he's done something in quite a clever way.
Yes, I think that's one of the main benefits of home swapping. Often if you stay in a hotel, you get to see very little of the real culture of the country you're visiting. What better way of finding out about how people live than living in someone's house? But before we finish for today, let's have a look at some of the vocabulary we've come across.
We had mainstream, which means something that happens often and is known.
And we had various different types of accommodation. A flat or apartment, a penthouse, a cottage, a townhouse, a houseboat, or a holiday home or second home.
And we had that term to live out of a suitcase, which means that you have to keep all your things packed and you can't take them out and put them in a cupboard. And we also had the term smug, which means to feel pleased with yourself.
And finally, to the question I asked you earlier, according to a recent survey, which country is the most popular this year for home swapping?
I think I said Australia, and I hope I'll feel smug about that.
I'm afraid you were wrong, actually. The answer is the USA, with 15% of respondents preferring to go there. 12% chose to stay in the UK and 11% chose Australia.
Oh well.
But that's all we have time for. Thanks for listening, everyone. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
That was 6 Minute English from bbclearningenglish.com.